Hey, what's up, guys? If you're new here, first time on my channel, my name is Gordon Koopman. I own a little coaching business called Saint Wrong Training, abbreviated as Strong. The whole idea philosophy behind that is no real strong religious connection at all. I believe in being spiritual and to each their own, you know. To me, defined as something internally that is learned that invokes change, which transitions perfectly into this video. But as a brand, Saint represents a patient teacher. And wrong is the fact that we are all human and we make mistakes, and sharing those with other people and from our experience to help teach other people is collectively how we all become stronger. So today on my kind of weekly insight, weekly vlog, I've written some stuff down, and I'm going to kind of talk about the idea of like change, growth. So change is a very critical topic in coaching that I don't think gets enough attention, right? So like there's the idea like everyone sets a goal of like what they want, and half the time I talk to a new lead, a new client, and I'm like, what's your goal? And they're like, I don't know, look better. It's like there's no specificity to it, like the dream is only like this realized. And maybe the idea of not talking about change isn't brought up more because it's not flashy, it's not easy to sell. It's a very abstract, but not abstract idea. Like we all know change is a real thing. We all know it exists. But if I was going to sit here and try and push my coaching service based off of the idea of change, like I don't think anyone would buy into that. It's like, it's Fugazi, right? People want results, period. It's human nature. But more so with change, what I want to talk to everyone about and just share is like, when it comes to achieving a goal, it probably has like the biggest impact. Going into the unknown in like a calm, no fear sort of way. And typically going into the unknown is accompanied by the feeling of fear, especially if the unknown is something you've never done before or not something that is normal in your life, because you haven't done it yet, or no one in your immediate circle has ever achieved that. It's something that we all want. We all sort of crave progression in some form or another. I think some people can bash themselves because their form of change might not be as big or elaborate or ambitious as someone else's change. And then that comparison is something that like completely destroys you even starting. Which is like the reason why people don't change until they're sick and tired, or they're on their deathbed, or their partner leaves them, or like it takes some sort of suffering, pain. And other than that, I mean, there are many enemies to growth. It can be our community, family, peers. But the biggest one of all is ourselves. I don't know who said it. Not an original, I guarantee. I promise you. A lot of stuff in this world isn't original. But the biggest one is ourselves. And we don't need anyone's permission to change. Not our community, not our family. not our partner. It would be nice if we can include them in on that, but knowing ourselves or knowing if they'll actually be supportive of that, you know, or maybe you think they'd be supportive, but it would like hurt their feelings, or like, because the little segue, I just feel like people don't have deep, meaningful conversations in the same way. At least that's not my background and what I'm from. I have a men's group I go to, and I do that with them, and it's great. There's a lot of understanding. There's a lot of love. And I think that's another aspect of any relationship, right? Coaching client, but establishing and being open to that change. When entirely, like when we first make that decision, that takes the most energy, that ramp up energy of actually doing something. We typically sit in pre-contemplation for a long time. And you'll have conversations with yourself. You'll have conversations with your friends to maybe try and get validation. And maybe those friends have never even done the thing that you're trying to change. And again, this is all just fear. Like if we break it down to like the root emotion, it's fear. I often think that the unknown and death are pretty related ideas or concepts, but like the truth is we don't even know what the next moment will bring. So it's okay to be afraid, and in learning new skills, that gives us more courage, more confidence. But really being aware of that shitty committee in our head, the voice that says, since we're on fitness, I don't have the genetics. I'm too old. I'm not an athlete. I don't have the right gym equipment. For myself, like I just got done competing in the Arnold, and I started training. I didn't have money. I went to the park and I did shoulder presses with the picnic table. I did step ups on the picnic table. I used the monkey bars for pull-ups. It was very much like a calisthenic based workout. And the difference was like I grew up being picked on, and I was sick and tired of being teased, bullied, not being strong, essentially. So I basically created that or manifested it in a physical way. It made it really easy for me to show up every day. And I find that it shut the shitty committee up. It quieted. It made my mind quiet. It allowed me to be present in the moment. And that is the part of training that I fell in love with. It was not looked at as like, I need to get better or I have to hit this goal. It was just like, I like doing this because I like getting stronger. So even if it wasn't perfect, a lot of first workout sessions in the gym, like I felt awkward doing a lot of movements. I observed what a lot of other people were doing. And, who I observed, the people who I wanted to be like. And, as soon as I left the gym, I'd go try the exercise that I like watched them doing. I just kind of like paid attention, like, oh, how's this feel? And in retrospect, like most people learn through observation or through actually doing. So like, there's no need to have fear. Like it's always going to accompany growth. So instead of asking yourself, like, what if I fail? Or this is going to be a waste of time, or I did it before, or it's so much energy, or like all these questions that like come up in our head, instead just be like, what are you missing out on by staying the same? You know, holding on to the past has a high cost, and it's just time loss. So, like, literally doing something, even if it's bashing your head against the wall, it's not wasted time. You're learning something important for you wherever you're at. I mean, it's a critical belief in my head. So, some practical things that maybe are a little less abstract on the ideas of change is studies have shown that if you write down a goal, it's 42% more likely to become true. Um, it's sort of like saying, do I really believe that I can change? I'm currently 34. I mean, I have journals from when I was 18, 22, 24. Like, I'll go into my mom's, I'll move some stuff around, I'll find one, I'll flip through the pages. And it's just like, shit. Everything I wrote down that I wanted happened. So it's just the realization that if you write something down that's bigger, it may take more time, but it's going to happen, right? You got to keep showing up. I honestly am someone who's like skeptical of certain things, but as I get older, I become a lot more open-minded, and this makes a lot of sense to me. Using a vision board, but not as like a woo-wah, like I got pictures on the wall, so I believe it, because obviously there's still action, but our brain thinks in images and not words. Again, just like earlier in the gym, like we learn through observation. Like as animals, it is. There's part of our brain called the reticular activating system. It helps our brain filter out distractions, and we can focus on like the key thing in our mind. So, for example, like if I get on this kick of like, ooh, I really want an Audi, you know what I'm going to see on the streets for like the next couple of weeks? Audis everywhere. And then I'll start paying attention to like, oh, how old is the person in the Audi? Oh, it's typically an older person. Typically. Like, I know people don't like to be generalized. So, okay, this is going to take some time. That's okay. And just the practice of leaning into fear. When fear shows up, we have two choices. You can muster the courage alone, or we can lean on our community. The second option is more powerful. So be more mindful of like who you share goals with. And you'll quickly learn that I have found just not sharing goals with people for me works best. Because I have my own way, I have my own process. And when I follow that process, I stay pretty calm in action towards achieving it. But the second I tell somebody else, it's all these ideas and thoughts of like, this is how you should do it. You're doing this wrong. And then I get hypercritical and that shitty committee pops up. So I've always been to like rock on my goals a lot better if I'm just like, it's a secret, I'll tell people it's like, I'm doing something, ? But you're not going to know what it is until I do it. And just over the years, that's just because my motivation has more and more become intrinsic versus extrinsic. Not really doing things to seek the validation of others, but just to challenge myself and, like my perception of hard, like what can I achieve? And leaning on a community when you can find it that really, really supports that. Not only in having someone to help you do like physical things, really having that love is how I would put it, helps you push through and have the courage to face that fear. Because then you have the belief that you're not facing it alone. But change is the only constant. The only thing we can control is literally the moment something happens to our response. That's it. That's all you have control over. So getting really good at that, or even meditating to be present more on how can I have better reactions to certain situations or circumstances. And then the hardest part is starting. And once you get started and you build up some momentum, right, the old beliefs will start to crumble. You'll start to generate new ones. And you keep that train rolling, you know? So thanks for stopping by, listening to what this guy has to say. It's appreciated. And stay strong, y'all. Coach G out.